Hi everyone, we're going to be doing the Antec Mercury 120 installation today. I've got everything laid out on the bench. Intel brackets, AMD, which is AM4 ready as well. So in the kit you've got the 120 fan, you've got the pump block, the radiator, fan screws, back plates, power line for the pump, your motherboard rear mounting bracket, the button screws for attaching the CPU pump down to the bracket, Intel brackets and AMD brackets, installation manual and the Antec thermal paste. What we do, we just untake everything out of his wrapping now, and we will then show you everything that is there, and we will then do a bit of a how-to guide to installing the case. We're going to be using the Antec cube case for this, and going to mount the radiator on the rear, and we will go from there. So let's get the wrapping off this and we can go from there. Well, here we go, we've got the CPU block and radiator now out of its packaging. It's a 27mm radiator, that includes the external casing as well, and you've got the pipes now going down to the CPU block. Full copper plate on there. Then we've got the fan screws, everything now we need to get it into the case. So case is prepped, ready to go, and let's get it in there, let's have some fun. Got the Intel brackets on. There is a groove where we push the brackets into. They just line up then with the screw holes. So we get the screws in there now. Two screws each side. Now we have the brackets installed, we can get the rear mounted bracket now fitted to the motherboard and install the cooler. We have the motherboard retention bracket. What we're going to do now is put the fixing screws into there. Each hole for the Intel side has 3 positions where you can either put a screw through for different positions on motherboards. So on the socket 1151, it's in the center, so you just push it on through, line it up to the center, and then we've got these little slide-on clips. They just push over and they lock the little screw in place. This just helps keep the screw in place when you're pushing it through to the motherboard, and allows you then to attach the cooler to these from the other side. So I'll just get the rest of them done now. Very easy. plastic clips can be a little bit stiff, but last one. Just making sure they're lined up in the center. Says in the manual different positions on there for different CPUs, different motherboards. Here we go, all fixed in place now. That's ready to go on the motherboard. On the motherboard we've got the sponge protection plate, which there's a little rubber cup which this hole here sits over the top of and pushes against, so you'll know you'll get in the bracket and seated in the correct place and not doing any damage to your motherboard. Here you go, we've applied the sponge bracket. Underneath the bracket is 2 pieces of white foam tape which just stick to the square brackets going around here on the back of the motherboard. On the sponge bracket there is a little rubber lip that goes all the way around here, and this is what the CPU bracket, retention bracket on the back goes up to. There we go. That's now seating nicely all around this edge. When you tighten it up from the other side, it'll pull it through and it's nice and flush. And that's it. That's the installation of the rear mounting bracket. Really straightforward, nice and easy. And we get on now and we'll get the pump block fitted the other side. Now I've got the CPU pump and radiator on the bench. I'm going to get the 120mm fan that comes with the kit installed. Fans don't need to be over tight, corner to corner, so it puts a fan flat against the surface. Just a little tweak up. Nice and solid, not going anywhere. Right, I've mounted the cooler onto the rear of the case and I've attached the 120mm fan. What we're going to do now is apply some thermal paste and peel protection plastic off and go for now and get the pump mounted. So we get some paste on there first. I have cleaned the CPU with some isopropyl alcohol, so right, I've installed the CPU radiator and 120mm fan. I've applied some Antec thermal paste that comes with the kit, and we're now ready to install the block. We are using the Antec cube case, so the motherboard is inverted, so the Antec logo will be upside down, but if you're using just a standard ATX, mini ITX case, the motherboard will be the right way and the Antec logo will be reading the correct way. So just position the CPU cooler on there, give it a little wiggle around, let it move the paste about. I've got the CPU block now attached to the rear retention bracket through the motherboard. I'm just going to tighten them down now in a sequence and make sure it's all good. They are thumb screws, you can just use your hands, but it's a little bit tight on the Antec cube case, so gives me a better, people a bit of a better view as well. And just doing the final tightening up. They come to their stops when they're at the correct tightness. Everything is all secured on there now. Well, now we've got everything connected and installed. I've got the power adapter for the pump. That goes to a SATA female connector, which then goes just straight to the micro USB for the pump. Just on the bottom of the pump, the micro USB port is there, and we just plug that in. As I'm using the Antec case, it's a little bit fiddly being inverted, so the pump is upside down for this, but there we go. That's all installed, and now we have power. I've got the 4-pin PWM connected up at the top here for the fan, and that is it. We are now ready to fire everything up and give it a go. And here we go. CPU cooler is all installed, and the Antec logo does a pulsating mode. Turn it on. We've got the nice blue ring fan, and at the moment the cooler is pulsating blue. When your CPU temperature gets to a warmish state, it goes to orange. When your CPU is then at a hot state, it then goes to red. So it's giving you a visual sign of how your CPU is performing, which is a nice touch. And the blue on top of the cooler matches the nice blue ring on the fan, and it's a nice little 120mm cooler. It's easy to install, instructions are good, parts very well made, and nice and quiet, and everything's all connected up, and that is it. That's how you install the Mercury 120 from Antec, and that's it. Enjoy.